Andrew Olivier. How can I help you?
Andrew, it's Pat. I'm sorry I got delayed.
No worries, Pat. No worries. I just like checking in. You're
No,
normally
I
pretty.
couldn't get this guy to stop talking long enough to even send you a text, and I don't tend to read my emails or text while I'm still in the meeting. So
Yeah.
I knew it was 5 o'clock and my anxiety was going up, but I couldn't get the guy to take the hint. So anyway, he's gone now.
Okay. No worries. No worries. That's no problem at all, Pat.
So
Okay.
how are you doing?
Uh, I'm doing
I know.
good. I'm doing great. To tell you the truth, Pat. I told the premier and I spoke with Jerry yesterday that I'd give you guys, a heads up on what my thoughts are and what I'm gonna do moving
Yeah.
forward. And had a really good talk with my family and my team last night. And my position is still the same. I'm looking to seek that nomination. I think lots of times in life you step aside in opportunities, and it's happened quite a bit to myself. And I think I'd be doing myself a disservice and all the people that have supported me really over the past, not just the past year in the campaign, Pat. I'm talking about my whole life. And really, I mean, I appreciate the premier's position, and speaking with her last night, and I'm the type of fellow that likes to get all the information he can to make a good, sound decision, and hopefully we can keep going with this. And really, that's basically where my mind's at right now.
So Andrew, let me ask you this. I mean, you of course you recognize in the position that we're going to find ourselves in here, right? Where she's going to have to make a decision um, around the appointment, right? Versus letting this go ahead.
Yep. Yeah. No, I completely understand for sure.
So I guess like you're I mean relatively a pretty young guy with lots and lots of options before you, and I think like I was in the room, which was because I couldn't hear your side of it, but I
Okay.
could hear hers, and I think
Sure.
what she was trying to say to you is that this is in no way an attempt to sort of say um, we would never want you to do this or be part of the team before or after or whatever, but that maybe not this time given this very extraordinary scenario that's come up.
Right. Right. No,
And
I
you got
understand.
to admit it's a pretty extraordinary scenario that
I
a
Yeah.
federal MP is prepared to cross the floor and do this.
Sure. Sure.
And
No,
a
I
pretty well
understand.
liked guy who could pretty much give our chances of winning back the riding go way up in that scenario, right?
I uh, I tend to understand the position, and and respectfully, I agree that he's a great politician, and I completely I like Glenn as a person, and he's done well for the community. I have no doubts of that at all, Pat.
So, so let me just finish where I'm going then. So
Sure.
I'm saying on that basis, right? And you've now been directly asked by the leader and the premier to just make a decision to step aside to allow Glenn to have the basically have the opportunity uncontested.
Sure.
Um, so I'm just saying to you, I guess I think you've got a long road ahead for you, politics on many fronts, and that sometimes we're asked to do those tough things in politics, and that you're being asked this time to do that. So I just want to make sure that you have actively considered the fact that this is being asked of you, and it is hard, and for what for the many people that have looked at this now have come to the belief that this is the best option for the riding. Um, so you're being asked to do the favor, I guess, or to make the sacrifice this time, and that also can go a long way in terms of like opening up options and like I mean in terms of being part of a party, right? This is part of a party exercise that happens not as often, more often than you might think, in terms of us calling up folks and sort of saying, this time this situation's developed, or will you be willing this time to take the back seat and let's see what develops going forward. Like, I think of Rob Oliphant, who was finally the federal member in Don Valley West, stepped aside twice, once for Bob Ray and once for somebody else. And then he finally got elected. And this time around, when it came to the nominations, people really took a look at it and said, is Rob the old guard, the new guard, and blah, blah, blah. But then the thing was, no, Rob has always been a strong party person and has always, has sacrificed already. So, no, he's not going to be asked again. Like I'm just saying, kind of I'm just trying to put it in the context of the longer game here. I'm not saying it's going to be punitive or anything. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying in the context of being a member of a party,
Yep.
they were kind of all asked to do these things sometime, and I just want to make sure that you balance that out with the decision to say, no, I'm going to do this no matter what.
Well,
and force the Premier to move to the appointment process if that's the only option available to her to move this forward.
And I completely understand, Pat. And you're right. I think these things come up. I spoke about it, and I understand that this is what I'm being asked to do. My position was to do the same, and again, I want to work with you guys, and but I want to work as the candidate, and like you said, and what Jerry had said, the Premier has to make her decision. If she needs to make that decision to do what she has to do, I'll respect it, and don't get me wrong, and that's just where we'll be, and we understand the optics of it and whatnot. So really, Pat, I wouldn't be true to myself if I said that I didn't really want this, and.
But nobody's not asking you to say that you don't really want it. We know you really want it. And I said to her after I was up there before this all developed, right, that I had no doubt that in a head-to-head you would take it because one, you knew what you were doing. You had the head start on membership for 3. I think you really wanted it more than Marianne, but but then this has developed, and so it's not a question of whether we know that you want it. She's asking you to agree to put that aside for now.
Yeah, and
because how is this going to play out, right? Like what? So how do you think it's going to play out? Like she moves to the nomination. She decides if she decides, but I think she's going to.
Yep.
To move ahead with the appointment, then what? You say I'm unhappy and I'm not going to help. I'm not no longer a Liberal. What's the next step then? Like it's not going to. Do you think because you're not stepping back, she's going to say, okay, we're going to have a race?
I would hope that information would weigh on her decision. I would think, but at that point, if this is imminent, is what you're telling me, then I'll have to make a moral decision to continue to support the way I have and go from there. But like as it stands, I mean, I'm just giving you all the information, Pat, and just like I've received.
But let's keep this. Let's just talk this through a little more. And I'm saying this because we all feel very badly, but I feel badly too because I was up there and we had that discussion, and I was like I was articulating to lots of people about how we can do this in the winter, in your circumstances. Like we were even talking about an RV and stuff like that, maybe that we could park on certain corners that they could call two parties. Like I don't want you to think like we weren't all developing that concept, but and she told you her personal story with Michael Bryant. When
Yes.
I was 27 years old, I was contesting a nomination in Guelph. I thought I had it, and then Rick Ferrero, who was a very popular local councillor, who said he would not run, threw his hat in the ring at the last minute, and that was it. I was done. Like people that were in his family who were supporting me went and helped him out, and I lost it, and that's okay. I never tried again. I went to the back room, and that was that. So I'm just saying, but he was in the end the better candidate because he was a long-time city councillor who'd been elected many times, and he took the seat and he held the seat for a long time. So sometimes the party requirement does come ahead of the personal requirement. Is all I'm trying to get to. But I just want you to think of the long play here, because for what now would become 3 or 4 weeks of angst or whatever we're up against, then you still could end up in the place where you're not the candidate. And I guess what I'm saying is if you talk to your family, you've talked to your supporters, do you really believe there was one
Actually, there was some solid conversations in both ways.
So,
My
so go ahead. Sorry.
sorry, no worries. My girlfriend was, at first was quite, adamant on saying, "Hey, this is you're up against a real big challenge here, and this person,
Yeah.
Glenn, is a great candidate and a great guy." And I said,
Yeah.
and I understand that, Pat. And I mean, in a contested nomination, I'm sure, he would put up a really good, really good fight. And unfortunately, I mean, that's not an option. For
But it's more than that. Like it's not just like that. I Andrew Olivier making a decision to still contest. It's I Andrew Olivier have decided to say no to the premier.
well,
And by the way, I've never. You're like the third person I've ever heard her even ask this of.
oh, really?
So she feels very strongly like it's a big step for her to make this ask, and for her to personally get on the phone with you in that way. That's just not her style. That is just something she really believes. In fact, she wanted to be the one to talk to you about it, and Jerry felt that she shouldn't go in cold. So um, he felt he had to tell you first and wanted to be part of that. And
Yeah.
then, but we had her on call because she said, I'm not letting him go overnight without hearing from me because I know how massive this ask is.
Okay.
And so I mean, you need to get it into that context, and not again because she's going to be mad at you or anything, because she's not. She's going to understand, but she's then going to do what she has to do in terms of what she believes is best, for the riding. She is quite desperate to get that, desperate in a good way to get that seat back, and it feels like while others are getting affected, including Marianne, but you more so by far. Like we've also had to tell Marianne, but that's different because she wasn't the past candidate who came within 1,000.
Sure.
We get that difference. Don't get me wrong. And she didn't speak to Marianne. She's only spoken to you, and so she knows how hard the ask is. But she is asking you to do this for the party, and but she's saying that's why she said, I hope we're all going to be standing together, and we need to find a longer term role here, and not in Glenn's shadow, but in terms of your own voice. And
Okay. Well, and Pat, this is in light of the conversation we're having now. I mean, again, this is more information that I didn't think we'd be going this far. And this is good information to have. Maybe
we've
tell.
going this far as to whether or not she'd be prepared to go to an appointment.
Well, I mean, I heard her vision, and I'm not saying that I didn't respect it at
No,
all.
I know.
No, and I appreciate that, and like I said, I'm a person who gathers information, and
Yeah.
talking with Jerry yesterday, I was feeling quite strongly, and even talking with the premier that this is what I want to do. But I mean, talking to you now, maybe we can work this out. But again, if you want to, and I'm sure you guys need a decision very soon here. And so Pat, what I'm saying is as a candidate, be it now or in the future, and it's just basically my last little statement here is I felt very strongly about the party and working with you guys, and I still feel that way. And I am a little bit of a rookie here, and this
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
these types of asks and information that I'm receiving is new information to me, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, no. And you're being terrific. Like you know, um, I've heard the premier do some tough calls, not in relation to candidates, but on other things.
sure,
Somebody that she knew very well that wasn't going to get a job she wanted, and she decided to tell that person herself, and it was that person, was extremely nasty in return, and she absorbed that because she felt she should. She got off the phone, and she said that was a really hard call, but he was really fair and decent about it, and she appreciated that you heard him out. So I appreciate. I guess I feel good about having this conversation because she got off the phone feeling like you were still friends, where she was so afraid you were going to be really mad at her. And I said, he's not going to be mad at you. He might be mad at the circumstances. She said, no, he'd be right to be mad at me because I'm asking him to do this.
yeah, no, and I'm and I was upset. I felt a
Yeah,
little I liked having the conversation with the premier. She's as I said, I've got more than ample and oodles of respect, and hope to even aspire to be, like her in the future.
Yeah.
And Pat, maybe if we had this conversation, between mine and the premiers, like I said, I need the information, and if it's gonna come up to getting nasty and ugly, that's not my way of going about this. I would ask again, then, just to, again, with more information. I mean, I could, if I
Well,
could.
let's just before let's just think about though other ways that you could. And I was hesitant to go here because I don't want to look like I'm trying to suggest that there's a consolation prize. But I
Mm-hmm.
hear you say, and I heard you say it up there, and I hear you say, like, I want to be involved and I want to be at the table, and that's what she was trying to say to you, is that I want you to have a role. But I said to her, I don't know what else you might be interested in. Like, if you are specifically interested in stuff like the accessibility advocacy or disability advocacy, like there is stuff being formed, developed here in committees, and lots of stuff that we could give you a voice on. If you, for example, wanted to be on the executive of the Ontario Liberal Party, and that would give you a voice at the party level and at a different level. If there were other things that you're particularly interested in that is within her realm to make you part of, then she is more than prepared to do that, to find the, because she said, I don't want to just, like,
Walk
everyone
away.
really admires what you did in the last round, so, but again, we didn't want to pigeonhole it or say, oh, well, you might be happy with this. Like we should have, that's what she meant by let's have that conversation,
Sure.
and figure out how we keep you active and at the table through all of that, right? Like that riding association has to be overhauled. But I said, it was me who said, I know we're going to be looking for new people to run for the executive at the AGM probably in late April.
Right.
Maybe he'd be willing to go on the executive, and that's
Excuse
a
me.
group that meets with the premier regularly and has lots of input into how the party runs and operates, and even the stuff, the campaign, and there are lots of other
Yeah.
avenues that we can look at. I don't
Yeah.
know. Did you talk to her once about that you wanted to do more in the area of advocacy for?
Well, I'm actually currently on the accessibility committee for OLP. We started that. I
Okay.
was
Yes,
appro.
that's right. Yeah, that's what it is. But we also have that happening at the government level, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
we're
yeah. This was
yeah.
basically just a subcommittee, dealing with a specific problem. But I understand for sure.
Yeah, like
And
but that's what she was saying. If we're forming more, and we are, there's some stuff coming out around different boards and committees that are going to be formed around doing more in that area. Maybe
I
that's
get, yeah, I guess
things
what.
that we wanted to look at.
Sure, I guess what I'd be willing to even, now that you've brought it up, and if I do this, and and working with, if I'm working beside Glenn, I would, prefer to be with that fella. I mean, he would be someone to mentor off of, and
With Glenn?
yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, that would be. I guess this is a discussion I would have to have with him.
Well,
Um,
no, I mean, okay, so I'm going to be totally, like, if you mean like in his constit office or something like that?
Sure, sure, yeah, and
Okay, so we talked about that, and I think Glenn would actually be very open to that. But again, everyone was, I don't want to, that's what Premier said, like, I don't want him to think that he has to be in Glenn's shadow, and would that put him in? So I said to her, Premier, like, I think that is something we should discuss, because, like, when they're in the riding, those are the guys, or sorry, when the MPPs are at Queen's Park, it is the constituency staff, as she well knows, who are out at all the meetings, who do all the community advocacy, who is exactly that. Maybe that is part of what he'd want to do. And actually, Glenn said that a week or so ago when we were chatting. But nobody, like again, nobody wanted to sort of say, oh, but here's your consolation prize, right? But if you're open to those discussions, there are many people, willing to have them. And I believe that is something you and Glenn could discuss. And I believe you would be open to it.
okay, well, it- like I said, this is all new information that I'm receiving,
I know. I'm
and
sorry.
no, don't apologize, Pat, and it's something where, I don't consider it a consolation prize, and all these options are great, and I currently am working. I mean, this is something that I'm proud of and
Yeah.
what I'm doing, so it may be something where I'm on your first suggestion. doing some stuff with advocacy with the AODA and that legislature.
Yep.
So you know what, if you can,
that we don't have to decide overnight, right? There's lots of options that we can sit down and talk about. I mean, we're all going to be up in Sudbury many times. We can sit down and talk that through, and we should have the broader discussion about what is it that you'd be most interested in doing, and then decide what shape that could take that would fulfill that. Is what I'm getting at. Whether it's a full-time or part-time job at a constit office, whether it is appointments to boards or commissions, whether it is also going on the exec. There's lots of, but we would just need to better understand, what is it that you most want to do,
yeah,
short of this, because we know this is like being the MPP is the thing you most want to do, but like what is the next couple things that
yeah. Well, no one, yeah, when you go in for a job or an interview, you really don't come out thinking, well, if I don't get it, what what other spots.
Right.
But so again, Pat, I'm going to leave you with that, and if I could, tell you right now, if I could speak with Glenn, if he's willing to talk to me, and then I could chat with him and give him the final yay, and from there we could again. I think I don't want to, as we say up here, make bad friends. And the English is poor, but it's basically building relationships and not crumbling them before while they're in the great establishment phase. I'm an honorable person, so I will definitely, when I do talk to Glenn, if he can give me a call, and I'll talk to him, and we can go from there. Pat, and I'm sure he's not going to get off the phone and call me right away, but when he does speak to me, I'll have a clear head, and I'll use again the information. I won't lie. I felt pretty good yesterday about continuing this, and I don't, in one sense, I could feel like I have to. I don't have a choice, but that doesn't mean that that could be a dirty situation. It could come out well for all of us, Pat.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so are you in?
More than happy to talk to you on the. I'm trying to reach him at some point tonight. He's traveling back, but I know he had a flat tire or something, so I couldn't reach him.
Oh no. Okay, well.
Can give you a call on the weekend.
Yeah, when you do get a hold of him, get him to give me a call, and then we're gonna we'll have a conversation, and we'll go from there for sure.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate you letting me give it another run through, and I'm around all weekend. Just text me, and I can call you anytime. And
yeah, no, I appreciate that, Pat, and like I said.
Talk to the Premier again, we can arrange that.
No, I know she's real busy, so I completely understood her position.
Last night, Andrew, she went to 8 Christmas concerts in her riding.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounded like she was there was something going on. There was a party going on, anyways.
Yeah,
so
we were having our own Liberal Caucus Service Bureau Christmas party. And,
oh, I see.
She was sitting in one of the offices making the call. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely if you can get a hold of him, we'll chat, and I'll definitely keep the lines of communication open, Pat.
I will get him. Okay, I appreciate that very much, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks, Andrew. Bye.
Bye. So what do I do?
Well, I think that was pretty clear that if you run, they're going to bury you. And like, oh, we just found out about this yesterday morning. Oh, when I was talking